Yesterday on the internet, I saw somebody posted a real rare picture of a bird that's only been seen, actually hasn't been seen here in like 30 years. It is a, what was it, a Bahama North Star hummingbird. And I really like hummingbirds, and I've never seen one, so I'm going to see if I can find one. But finding one hummingbird in a place like this is going to be like finding a needle in a haystack. But who knows? We'll see what happens. I see a big group of people. Hopefully they found the hummingbird. Let's go check it out. Well, apparently I missed the bird by like 2 minutes. It's a bummer, but maybe tomorrow I can come back and find him again. I went over a bridge and I saw a bunch of manatees down in the water in this little pond here. See if maybe I can go get some cool pictures of the manatees. Maybe some footage too. What you're looking at here is the always impressive and always very curious Florida manatee. This manatee was nice enough to roll up and show us the bottom of its mouth. You can see the mouth there. It almost looks like it's smiling, and the nose and the face all covered with whiskers. Do you know what creature the manatee is closely related to? A lot of people think it's a seal, but it's not. Manatees are related to elephants. Some people think that the two evolved separately, one on land and one in water. In this shot, you can actually see the manatee's nostrils, and if you look real close, a little further back on each side, you'll see their eyes, two little black spots. This one had its eyes closed during this picture, and it's actually two manatees. There's one climbing up on top of another one. I believe these manatees were mating at the time. A few weeks after I shot this image, my son and I were snorkeling around in this same area. We were checking out a bunch of marine life out by this rock line. And out of nowhere, all of these manatees showed up all around us, and it was a little intimidating because some of these things are around 8 to 9 feet long, and they can weigh anywhere from 1,500 to 1,800 pounds. And they just moved right through and pushed us both out of the way, actually bumped into us and moved us out of the way as they cruised through. It was pretty neat. All right, so I came back last night looking for the little hummingbird, and it wasn't here. So I'm back again in the morning looking for the Bahama Woodstar hummingbird. Somebody last night told me too that there's a bobcat that keeps circling around here and watching all the people. So maybe I'll see the bobcat. And here it is, the Bahama Woodstar, a hummingbird that hasn't been seen in this area for over 30 years. Talk about challenging photography. This little bird was it. Hummingbirds can be challenging to photograph on their own, but this little bird showed up 10 minutes after sunrise and decided to hang out in the shadow of a big fig tree and feed on these honeysuckles. Now, I'm not complaining, but it was very difficult. There was no way I was going to be able to stop the wings, so I had to drop my shutter speed as far as I could and lower the aperture as well. But I still managed to get a few shots. I'm extremely impressed with the Nikon 200-500mm lens and the vibration reduction because these two images were both handheld. The first was shot at 1/160th of a second, and it was still a little underexposed, so I went even further to 1/100th of a second and still managed to get a decent shot. The hummingbird finally left the shadows, but when it did, it flew back into this thick underbrush. And I wasn't the only photographer there. There was quite a few other ones, and they simply gave up and said that he's too far back in the bushes, I can't get a clear shot of him. Well, you can. Obviously, there's a couple ways you can do it. If you're using autofocus, turn it off and manually focus until you get him in focus. In this instance, though, I used single point autofocus, put the single point on the bird, and was able to get a good focus when everybody else could not. The lighting still wasn't the greatest, but it was a little bit better than when the bird was in the shadows. And you'll notice in the second picture that the lighting is starting to increase as the sun was coming up over the tree line. Again, both of these shots were handheld at 1/100th of a second, and that just really shows how good the vibration reduction is on the Nikon 200-500mm lens. My patience finally paid off because the little Bahama Woodstar flew up into the one area that was really well lit, and it sat there for maybe 30 seconds and allowed me to get a couple of good shots with some really good lighting, and I was able to get my ISO a little bit lower to get some cleaner, noise-free images. I've also included a close-up crop of each one of these shots so you can get a better look at this little bird. It looks very similar to a ruby-throated hummingbird, but if you look closely, you'll see some differences. Its tail is different, and its beak is different, and it has a little bit of different color on the wings. I talked to a few local bird experts who were on the scene,
and they all seem to agree that this was an immature male that was blown in by a recent storm, and that's why he's hanging around. On my way out, I decided to stop at a local state park and see what I could find. I found this really cool red-bellied woodpecker, and I got a shot I've been trying to get for a long time with just his head sticking out of the tree. Next up was this bird. I believe it's a starling, but I'm not 100% positive. If you know, go ahead and leave a comment. I think it's a starling. Not sure. Let me know. I'm going to leave this video with something a little bit different. A couple of surfing shots. I was curious as to whether or not the basic principles of bird photography would apply to fast-moving sports like surfing, and apparently it does. And the Nikon D500 with the 200-500mm lens is great at capturing surfing as well. You got to admit that having a camera like this and being able to pause time and come back and look at all of the details, like all of this water that's moving in these waves, that's pretty impressive. There should be a little bumblebee in the upper left-hand corner. Go ahead and click on that and subscribe to my channel. I got a lot of videos planned. If you like the video, click the thumbs up and always leave comments. It doesn't matter if it's good, bad, questions, whatever. I'll do my best to answer any questions, and I love hearing what everybody thinks of the videos.